Di legua notte tramontate stelle, all'alba vincerò, My life wouldn't be the way it is if I hadn't have spent time, living on the streets, if I hadn't have had a chance to grow, to grow myself the way I needed to do things. I know my mother, feels a lot of guilt about giving me up.
It was a heartbreaking thing to do because now I have other children. I can't imagine how a mom can give up her own child, But I left Steve with his dad, and it was heartbroken. Like, I don't know why I did it. It was like leaving my heart there with his dad. And I'm kind of, like I said before, there's not a day that went past that I never thought of him.
I don't ever remember blaming my mother for not raising me, and it's not something that I regret. Mum wasn't in a situation to look after me, so she gave me to my father, who she thought would give me a better life. My father was quite old. He was 57 when I was born. So, by the time I sort of hit my early 20s and, really started to straighten myself out, my father was dead. If I could say anything to my dad, it would be that I love him and that I miss him, and, that I'm good now. I've gone through that stage and I'm on a good path, and that, I love my dad more than anyone, and I wish he was here. My father was the person who was always there. He had a soft hand with me, and all he ever did was love me and provide me with what he thought I needed. I grew up in foster care. I was with a family until I was 10 when I moved back in with my father. And my father had been living nearby to the foster family, but when I moved in with him, we moved to Port Fairy. And I was a prick of a kid. By the time I was 15, I was a reckless child who was well and truly bored with the countryside, and I decided to drop out of school and move to Melbourne. Big influence on me as a teenager was definitely my older foster brother. He was my idol and whatnot, but he was always in a lot of trouble, and shortly after I moved in with him, he was arrested and got sent to jail. That's how I found myself on the streets. And I don't know whether it was a mixture of the excitement, it was exciting, or pride, not really wanting to go home to my dad. I spent a lot of time in youth refuges and squats and, a few nights sleeping rough. And that was, at that age, it wasn't as bad as it sounds. It was an adventure. The adventure came to an abrupt halt when, while in one of the squats, I received a really bad beating. The door flew open and there they were, and they just started kicking into me, and I must have had 200 kicks to the head and body, and the room was just covered in blood, and Thankfully they stopped before they killed me. I was sent to hospital that night with multiple lacerations, broken nose and ribs and whatnot, and that sort of ended the glossier part of this sort of existence, and that was what sent me home. My mum had come to visit probably 5 years prior to that and left some photos behind, and I really hadn't had much contact with her and didn't know how to go about contacting her. But I found some details on one of the photos, and I remember going to the phone booth at the front of the caravan park where I lived with my father and calling up directory assistance and giving the name in Blacktown, and they gave me the number, and calling up.
I was sort of sleeping and the phone rang. I picked it up and I heard this man's voice like, "Hi, Mom." Say, what's this man calling me Mom? Because, "Hi, Mom, it's Steve." So I said, "Oh my gosh." So I was so excited,
We decided that I was going to head up there, and anyway, I ended up going back to Dad's place for 5 minutes, packing my bag, and I hitchhiked to Melbourne straight away and caught the overnight train to Sydney.
When he hung up, I did, and he agreed to come up. I was so happy, when he asked me, "Can I come over, or I'm coming up?" I said, yeah. I was excited. I just couldn't wait to see him.
Mum came and met me at Central Station, and it was just one of the happiest memories I have. And I remember when I arrived at the train station, you were there, and what was it? He said, "Do you smoke?" And I'm thinking, oh God, no, it's okay. Do you smoke? Yeah. Come, I'll buy you a packet. Here's some money. We'll get clothes. And it was bizarre.
So your nurturing instincts were coming in, were they?
Yes, I was waiting and I was so happy that when I spotted this young fella with a cap on, I thought, that must be him. So, yeah, when he got nearer, I was so happy. It was like, tears. Yeah, I was.
Were you crying at the time?
I had tears, I'm so happy. It's like a lost son that I've found again. I just want Steve to know that I love you.
I know that.
And I will always love you.
Oh, Mum.
And I've always said sorry, for the decision that I made. But I think if I didn't make that decision, he wouldn't be the person he is now. And I've always asked Steve to forgive me for.
I don't think you have anything to be forgiven for.
I know, but nobody understands. I was scared. I was excited. I had all the mixed moods. Like, what is he going to say? What am I going to say to him? I was nervous, very nervous.
I remember you asking me asking me when I was going to come up. Are you black? How will I know what you look like?
Yes. My son, Steve Smith, is a Tenor with Opera Australia.
I used to delight in being the class clown, and one of the things I used to do was, not just sing in class, but get the entire class singing the choruses with me. I love to entertain. I've always loved to entertain. I did it in school, I did it on the streets. It's something I've always done, and it's something I really enjoy doing. I like making people smile. I like making them laugh. I like, moving them in one way or another. It makes them feel good, and it makes me feel good. I think any performer has this innate craving to be loved by an audience, and it's like a drug that I live for. And I was just blown away. There was, these guys, the way they sang, it was so physical. They were like, like V8 engines, and then these stories and this music, it was such an amazing outlet for these heartbreaking feelings, for when you're feeling down and shattered, for when you're feeling at your most ecstatic, for love and death and betrayal and all these things. And in opera, I found something that I had to do. There was just no question about it. It wasn't like I thought I should do this. It wasn't like, oh yeah, this is something that I could do. It was just something that I was compulsed to do, and it's something that I remain that way.
Can I kiss you?
You may. Can I sing to you?
Yes!
You are my
and where you are, I long to be. You make my darkness bright when, like a star, you shine on me. Shine then the whole night through. Our love divine bids me hope anew that dreams of mine may perchance come true, and I will hear you whisper